the right club. Be the right club today. Yes!
Johnny, that's better than most. How about in? That is better than most. Better than most!
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up live show, presented as always by our friends at High Noon. Solly here, joined by the Schuster brothers, Neil and TC, joining us live from the back of a BMW, it would appear. How we doing, fellas?
Solly, I'm doing fantastic. What a day out here at Castle Pines. We're a mile high, and I'm vibing.
We are more than a mile high. We're 6,400 feet. Solly, I was saying to Neil, we are this place is like Muirfield Village West, which I think you would love it.
It looked a lot like it on TV, that 18th hole, that clubhouse setting. Outside Denver showed out this week, man. There were some crowds flowing out there. But before we get going, here's the tea about High Noon's all-new vodka iced tea. It's made with real vodka, real iced tea, no added sugar, no carbonation. If you are a hard tea lover who is done with sugary malt-based teas, you are going to love the new High Noon vodka iced tea. 90 calories. High Noon vodka iced tea is great for any occasion under the sun and comes in 4 delicious flavors. You got to try original peach, lemon, and raspberry. Visit highnoonspirits.com to find a pack near you. Here is how it's going to work tonight. If you are watching this live, this is the second time we have been live today because we went live after the AIG Women's Open wrapped. If you are listening on your podcast feed, we're going to play that audio after this section. We're trying to look out for our crew across the pond to make sure they don't have a 2 a.m. bedtime tonight. So we've already done that part of the show. Please stick around for the back half of that. We talked to Lydia Ko, of course, the champion. But first, we want to catch the Schuster bros coming off of a vibrant week out there. What's your reaction to the week?
It's been a great week. Got here Tuesday, a little pro-am, wet my beak on a pro-am, which was great to understand the course, get a sense of how penal the rough was, pick out some holes. 14 and 15 were my two favorites. And then, the tournament's been really good. I think even some of the the committee that put in the event on were surprised by how this course throttled the scoring. It held up really, really well, even at altitude. And I think it was really fun for me to watch these guys challenged and kind of flummoxed by both the wind and the altitude. So it was a very engaging tournament to be a spectator of.
Yeah, I would say it's a complete affirmation of new markets.
Yeah.
PGA Tour going to places that they don't go every year. Like the tour goes to Greensboro. No offense to Greensboro or the Quad Cities or like 6 places in Texas and all that. It's like, cool. There's wide swaths of the country that are being totally ignored by the tour. And there was a buzz around Denver this week, and they showed out in a big way. And they put their money behind the tournament, put their feet behind the tournament, put their eyeballs behind the tournament.
It's it's classic honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
It's a novelty. It's great. People were fired up to be out there. A big walk though, and so credit to the folks out here just outside of Denver for hoofing it.
Which they don't need to come here every year, but come here like every 4 years, like every 5 years. And there needs to be more tournaments that move around. Like this is the only tournament outside the majors that moves around, and that shouldn't be the case.
Well, it's also just like we're looking for places to play in August that are not swamp ass invitationals, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody looked miserable out there. I know it was hot out there, but you're at altitude. It's not the humidity. It's a totally different heat, and it shines. There were some tough attitudes out there. I was going to say people can tend to get a little bitchy and a little whiny near the end of the season.
Some of the players.
Yes, players
definitely.
Yes.
But that's good for entertainment purposes.
Content.
Like, I mean, I watched Rory snap his driver on 9T. It's like, sorry, bud, play better.
Matthew Pavon chucked his iron into the woods from the middle of the fairway on 10 the other day. Scotty was bitchy all week.
Yeah, which we can get into. So I don't want to throw you off track yet.
Honestly, I was kind of in and out. We did the live show. I missed a fair amount of the golf today, but it was like every time I looked up, I watched a lot of it Saturday and a fair amount of it today as well. Like whoever was up on top was just fucking up the whole time. I don't know who. Like I know Keegan won the tournament. We're gonna get to some of that. He birdied the first hole today, made 13 straight pars, got a couple good bounces with drives on 14 and 15, but Airmailed one to the back of the green on back bunker on 15. Did good to make bogey there. Adam Scott had a window on 15 to pick up make up some space on Keegan, but he airmailed the green. He made bogey, as Keegan did as well. It was Scott's fourth bogey of the back nine. Keegan, he led by one over Burns, who shot 65 earlier in the day with 3 holes to play. But Keegan hit a fantastic 5-iron up the hill on the par 5 17th for an easy 2-putt birdie. It was like the shot of the day on the par 5. Ends up making bogey on the 18th, but wins by 1. Huge reaction. Guys, I feel like Keegan is kind of running the Bryson like playbook right now of like engaging the crowd. It was a lot of USA chants going on. He's had some really good interviews. I feel like a Keegan and Bryson like glow up in terms of PR and public, just appearance in general was not something I had going for 2024.
So a couple things. I followed the leaders from 9 through 16, and the golf was grindy. Adam Scott, basically the difference was Keegan made a bunch of 6-footers. Adam Scott did not. He bogeyed 10, 11, and 12 because he missed like, a 5-footer, 6-footer, and a 7-footer. Just and Keegan made those putts. I don't think until that 5-iron on 17, Keegan really didn't hit a shot that was like, man, that slammed the door. Like he did what he had to do. I sense though with Keegan that the nod for the Ryder Cup is like a bit of a validation for him. I think it's really helped his confidence, and I was really impressed because it didn't seem like he had his best stuff, but he just kind of kept at it and he didn't go backwards, and then he kind of waited till that moment on 17 in the fairway where he was able to slam the door. So impressive stuff. Like I know, and it was also a really interesting contrast to styles. You have a very elegant guy like Adam Scott. And a very kind of, honestly, twitchy guy like Keegan, but they're both kind of similar.
Tweaky.
It just, he's always like
truly New England.
Yeah, he's always kind of like, is he good? He stands behind the ball, bends his legs, and he's about to step in, but he stops and he spins his driver head. It's just a lot of twitchiness. And then, but what's funny is they both kind of stink at putting, like broomstick, recovering broomstick guys. And they both hit it like really, really solid. So they're very different from an aesthetic standpoint, but they kind of have similar game. So it was an interesting final pairing to watch. Not a lot of fireworks though. Yeah. Just really, really, both of them were not like super jacked up.
Weirdly, Solly, I think Keegan being the captain has almost put a chip on his shoulder of like, hey, you guys think like I can still play. Like, all right, I'm the captain. People think I'm washed or whatever. No, I'm going to qualify for this fucking team. And that seems to be, he's getting the USA chants all over the place. He's getting all sorts of, oh, my captain, my captain, that sort of thing. But I think overall it's very much like, I'm going to prove to you guys that I can make this team. And then we'll leave it to the assistant captains and John Wood and the analytics guys to put together the setup and the pairings and all that. And Solly, I'm hearing some concerning things about what they might do to Bethpage. Just cut everything down and make it
you shared that earlier in Slack. That TC, that was decided in 2012 when they decided they were going to Bethpage. That was not news to anyone that they're going to cut the rough down at Bethpage. That is the most obvious thing. Listen, I am the only thing I don't want to have happen is to like for all of next year to be doing is Keegan going to be playing captain. Like he honestly should. I know he's already said I'm not going to pick myself. If I make it on points, I make it on points. Which he did not get any points for this. Like, and if he does make it on points next year, credit.
Oh, there's no points for this?
No, it's not a Ryder Cup year. No, this is a.
Oh, so wait, yeah, but I thought it was the whole 2-year process thing.
Well, they do. There's points available in majors in the non-Ryder Cup year.
They change it every year. I don't know what it is.
No, I was actually confused too. I would have thought that he'd get some points.
That said, though, like if you want to pick a good guy for Bethpage, like Keegan's game fits it to a T. Like Bethpage is awesome for him. As Solly probably is going and looking up the data golf profiles.
He's not that long. Like I don't know why.
He's
why does this
super long?
No, he's not. I think he's like above average, but I don't think it's
above average.
Super long.
I will say the shot that he ended into 17. That was the only time that it felt like it was in the balance today. We can talk Ludwig in a little bit, but Keegan had, I don't know, 200 plus into 17 straight up the hill. They talked about making it a par 4 this week, and the club was like, no, like we want to keep it a par 5. There's a history that, the course kind of ebbs and flows, the international, like all those kind of eagles on that hole. And Keegan hit by far the best shot of the day today into 17.
TC, I can't even explain to you. It's not even a close. I mean, he hit approaching the 10 to, I don't know, 8 feet. He went to his knees on the approach because he thought it was in the water. Like the flag was like far right. And that was as close as he hit it until he reached the 17th in 2. Like every other hole, both of them were either like 15. They both airmailed it over the green. 12 bailed out right. I mean, just not.
You're talking Keegan and
Adam Scott.
Yeah.
The final group was just not sharp. But Keegan just was able to make the 5 to 7 footers, and Adam Scott was not.
But and it's just like, as a venue, this place it's not the best architect. It's not an architectural masterpiece. It's not. It's a big walk, but it's like all week it was. Like I think everybody went in thinking these guys are going to rip this place apart. We got here Tuesday. They had guys out with blowers every night standing the rough up.
The rough was gnarly.
It was like 4 or 5 inches long. The greens firmed up. It was really windy the last few days. They got a little rain on Thursday night, but otherwise greens were firm. The wind was gusty and like unpredictably gusty.
Dude.
You add in the altitude and like 6,400 feet. And just there's OB all over the place too. And then also we went out with Stephen Cox this morning as he was setting up the golf course. He was pointing out all the spots that there's yellow stakes and yellow lines, and how much that changes these guys' perception of a golf hole. Where it's just very much like, oh my gosh, like there's an actual penalty if I go in the water here and I have to basically redrop from the same spot or from the drop area instead of, hey, 2 club lengths from the red line. And so all those things combined, like I felt like we got a preview of what the PGA Tour wants to be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And Solly, I was asking him, he added some short grass short of 17 greens so that guys had to worry about chipping back towards that pin from long right where all the balls ended up. It was a really thoughtful setup this week, and I thought everybody thought they were going to go 23, 24 under. And what did Keegan win at, 11 or 12?
I think it was 11 because he bogeyed
12.
12 under, yeah. I thought it was going to be low. I mean,
with 4 par 5s, like 4 gettable par 5s.
Yeah, Solly, some people were calling you out for saying that these guys were going to go super low this week on the preview show. I believe you said that.
Hey, I wasn't out there. You guys could have passed along this information earlier this week. That'd have been really helpful.
I think they all thought that.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
But just to give you a sense, though, like I was on 11T, which is the long downhill par 3, and I watched on Friday Will Zalatoris come through this caddy. The actual number was 202. They were calculating 65 yards down the hill.
That's insane.
They were using 12% for their altitude, and the wind was down. So it was like a lot, just a lot of factors involved. So interesting.
Well, you saw, I mean, there were so many shots all week where, guys are just hanging on for dear life. They don't know what's about to happen. Like balls in the air, they don't know what to tell it. They just have major uncertainty on calculating all those numbers. And it created some variety, right? Especially some of those elevated tees, especially on those crosswind holes. Like, dude,
9, 18.
Yeah, so
10.
much OB coming in. Adam Scott would put 2 balls OB this week and missed every putt, and still almost had a chance to win on the 72nd hole. Like it was an interesting variety. Then again, like you said, TC, it's not like this is not a brilliantly designed golf course, but it is like, and it's not so bad it's good either. It's just kind of like this is an interesting little off ramp, something different than what we normally see.
Yeah, there's all sorts of consequences.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of consequential shots, I think. And then the ball, like, so it's, and the crazy part is it was 8,100 yards. And once you factor in the elevation change or the altitude, and then I think overall, like in the aggregate, it plays about 200, 300 feet downhill. And so I think overall it was like a 7,100 yard golf course.
Yeah.
And so for that to, with a par 72 and for that to only yield 12 under par is a credit to, the pin positions, the green, and with smooth bent greens too. If like, man, that's what the PGA Tour should aspire to.
Yeah.
It's really, really good tournament golf. And it like, I mean, I stood on 9 and 18 tee, which is kind of a like double tee for 2 holes. And it was straight crosswind on Saturday. And I watched Patrick Cantlay, Nick Dunlap, Will Zalatoris, a bunch of guys like just wipe it right into the creek. And
I stood there today. It was the same thing. The ball, it would look right down the middle, and be with the altitude, the ball just lingers up there and starts veering right. And then it would go in the water, and they all just couldn't believe it. It was, and it's fun to watch these guys get fooled. Yeah. Rory, same thing happened to Rory today, and then he leaned on that driver a little too much, and the thing broke in half. I don't know. It was just a really fun venue.
This episode is brought to you by the all-new Titleist GT drivers. They are now available in golf shops worldwide. With Titleist GT drivers, speed is only the beginning. With a powerful new engine, speed is gained, but also controlled, meaning you get the best possible distance and outcome from every swing. How they done it? The GT Crown is made from a material never used before in golf club construction, a proprietary matrix polymer that is 3 times lighter than titanium, and allowed them to optimize the CG locations in each model. When it comes to composite drivers, they tend to sound overly dull, and they might have a visible seam on the crown. There's none of that in the GT. The Titleist engineers were able to realize material gains while maintaining their signature player preferred look, sound, and feel in an ultra lightweight multi-material design. The GT head shapes have been refined to reduce drag and move the club head faster through the air, while the redesigned face construction gives players faster, more consistent ball speeds from heel to toe. Take a GT test drive like we have, and within a few swings, you'll discover what makes the GT a driver like nothing before. Head to Titleist.com to schedule a fitting near you. Gosh, just reading
2 things with the GT.
Play golf.
I love it, and most of the guys out here love it too. I think it sounds a little hot meltier in a good way. It sounds really solid. And then B, like, had ball speed gains on my good strikes, but on my bad strikes, like the floor is so much higher.
Totally.
It
kind of launches up there
my
still.
mind.
Yeah. It still gets up in the air and lingers for quite some time. A lot of some of the weird stuff that happens this week. Scotty really freaked out. Was that on Friday? Like he hit a ball in the water, had to take a drop, hit it long, was confused why it did not roll back. Just started yelling, how? That's an upslope. What the fuck? Like, kind of out
But
of
that
character.
was from the drop zone, which was an awkward distance,
and it was
because
downhill.
of the yellow penalty area. So a lot of times these guys, they reach safe harbor when they hit the green and it spins back. And now they're, the yellow makes a big difference. So I thought that was a really conscious effort from the tour and the setup committee, and it's awesome.
And the tour made it a distinct point this week too. If guys were getting TIO, they were getting TIO from uncomfortable spots, like on 14.
Sources told us that, like, showed us specific spots where, like, yo, if they miss here, this is the TIO. We have thought this through. And I was like, you know what? This is some of the hope and change that I'm running on. Okay. In 2028.
TIO reform
is part of my 2028 platform.
If I was to like true serum Scotty, who's pissy this week, like I think he would probably say, like, this big of a variable going up in altitude this late in the season to, like, it doesn't really matter. He ended up still first seed going into next week, but like,
it's silly stuff, Solly. It's silly.
I don't necessarily agree with it. Like, I think the whole point of golf is, like, your game should travel to all kinds of different playing conditions and all that stuff. But if I had to, like, true serum some of these guys, are they like second to last tournament with so much on the line and berths into Tour Championship? Did you hear any kind of, like, whispers of kind of this weird golf course?
I think there's stuff where, with Scotty, it's kind of like he should have almost just gone on total cruise control this week and said, hey, you know what? Like, he complained at Memphis and said, hey, I want, like, my lead here should be reflected, basically, if this is a regular season extension, then my lead should be reflected, and it wasn't. But now, like, that kind of gave him license to go on cruise control this week, and I still feel like he tried to keep the pedal down. And Xander played pretty well. Like, those two are kind of way out in front of everybody. But I think with with Scotty is I just think it's reflective of what the tour needs to decide with the playoffs. Do you want him to be the playoffs? And if so, then you need to invest in venues, and they need to go out to the West Coast and do shit in prime time and really invest in the product. Or do you want it to be a culmination of the regular season and just make it, hey, you know what? Like, Scotty, you won however many times during the regular season. We're going to just crown you during the playoffs.
Yeah. I would say it's more evident, Solly. I don't know if it was you or but I've heard the theory, like, Scotty doesn't play well on his first visit to a course, and throw this one in that category, right? Of like, it's this is a new stop since the International, since 2006.
Yeah, there were two guys in the field this week that played International, Jason Day and Adam Scott.
So, Scotty's first look at this place, and that seems to be the only kryptonite we can find for Aquaman.
Kind of a underrated thing for next week, because East Lake, obviously a annual venue, but brand new setup. They're coming out of a complete renovation and everything like that. Will Scotty, it's a course he hasn't really played all that well at previously.
Totally.
And he hasn't won, the last couple of years. And then B, you add in, hey, it's a new look as well. So I'm really, really curious to see. I think Scotty could kind of, melt over a little bit, or be kind of pissy if things don't get off to a great start next week and he's trailing after Friday or Saturday.
It's blowing my mind that Jason Day played the PGA Tour in 2006.
I know.
Like, I'm like, that can't be right. I'm looking it up, and sure enough, it is.
Yeah.
I just, that was just so out of character, and it was just like, man, there's a fair amount of bitchiness this week with Rory throwing a club into the water once, and then breaking a club, and then I don't know if you guys saw the Matt Fitzpatrick incident.
Well,
today.
yeah. Well, honestly, we were kind of a part of the drama because we were rolling around with the head rules official. It's like, just looking at the course, checking out the pins. He was giving us a lot of context on how they set things up. It was fascinating. And then all of a sudden the radio starts crackling, and it's like, hey, we got a face collapse situation. Matt Fitzpatrick saying his driver head's cracked, or his face is cracked, but it's like the rules official on the ground with him was like, I can't, like, my finger, it's not loose. Like, they have a test for it. It looks to be just an aesthetic crack, but he was adamant that it wasn't. And so then we rolled up in the cart, and all of a sudden these like PGA Tour live cameras are like in my grill, and I'm like, hey,
you're on
guys,
a ride along with the cop.
Truly, I mean, it was like an episode of Cops. I was like, oh, get on the ground, I was like, no, I'm not one of the cops, I promise.
They should have brought you in for an opinion. That would have been good content.
But it sounds like that rule, though, they're thinking about adjusting, because it's like, all right, it has to be irreparably harmed. Like, the club has to be irreparably
beyond repair,
damaged, beyond repair.
Officer Gillis language.
And
the pants
beyond material damage, to where, hey, it's affecting. I guess they've done a bunch of testing of, like, if the face is cracked, it's still launching off of the face.
And they went through their whole process, and they just couldn't buy the letter of the law. They were like, you got to play this club, and Fitzpatrick's like rightfully upset with that. And so it's kind of like, hey, if a club malfunctions, not the players, he didn't snap it like Rory did, like, then maybe in the near future they're gonna look at that rule, which I think is at least they're kind of trying to evaluate like the logic of some of this stuff. But I can tell you that Fitzpatrick was not happy about it, because I was like, man, what are these cameras all up in my grill for? I was like, this must be a thing. So that was fun.
He was pissed off. It was they posted the clip, and it was
good on them for posting the clip.
Or right? Somebody did. I assume it was them, and it got shared around. He had some words for him, saying it was ridiculous. But he hit another shot with it, and it like duck hooked, and he was like, so I have to play the rest around with a 3-wood, and this guy's like, yeah, pretty much you do.
I don't know. I do feel like the tour, just different stuff this week. I feel like the tour's loosening up a little bit. Just overall,
that's what I've heard. I'm waiting to see it a little bit. I think they need to see the ball go through the hoop a little bit on a couple things. But
you've got some leading indicators, Sally. Just we don't know if inflation's slowing down, but we think it's cooling. That's what we're noticing.
A good 10 years after we started putting the heat on them, they're
exactly.
Maybe these guys might be onto something.
Maybe in 3 years we might see the regulations, be be a little bit loosened. But no, truly there was a buzz out here in Denver, and they sold out on tickets. Like, it was a tough ticket to get around town, right? And like, it was like Randy's fiance came out, first golf tournament ever today. Of course, it's your first golf tournament ever. You're engaged to Randy. Of course, he's not going to bring you to one. And sure enough, she's like, "This is awesome. This is great." She's like, "Do you think I can get a ticket?" I was like, "I think we could probably help you out. I think we know some people." And but no, it was truly like, and I think that's just the energy of going to a place that has grown like crazy over the last 10, 15
well, I got
years.
a good story on that. So you find the Denver airport, and on the plane train, between concourses, Wyndham Clark comes on, and he's like, "Welcome, the world of golf." It's all this very general golf talk because they couldn't mention PG, like the Denver airport had these regulations around like what you could say. You couldn't promote
because it's a public.
Yeah, it couldn't be a commercial advertisement. So he's just like welcoming everybody. The world of golf is here. This is the best players.
The big championship.
Yeah, the biggest a big championship is here this week. It was so,
but it's so vague and generic.
But it's cool to hear. Like, as someone who was coming to the tournament, I'm like, oh, that makes an impact on me. Of like, oh man, the city's happy to have the golf tournament here. Like, I don't know if they're doing that at Hartsfield next year or next week, right? Like, because they're there every year, so there's naturally a bit of a. It's just not there's not as much excitement when a tournament's in the same place every year. So,
we have the any other big takeaways? We can look at standings going into next week, but anything else from on site?
I got 5 takeaways, and I think TC does too. You want to go there?
I've already done a couple of mine, but
okay,
let's do some of yours.
Well, I had 5 specific things. This was my first tournament, which I'm almost sheepish to say. First time I've been on site this year. Listen, got a newborn at home, and so I had a few things that were like what you pick up when you're in person. So today I'm standing on that split tee box 9 and 18. Big Tone walks up, he tees it up, and there's the gallery's like right behind the tee box, and he kind of, I don't know, the sound of his drive sounded a little weird, but he stripes it. It literally center cut right down the fairway, and he turns around, he literally hits a Jeb Bush. He goes, "Please clap." Yeah, and I was just like, that's the kind of like little thing that like Tony's not in the hunt.
Yeah,
it's middle of the day, but just that little
interaction. He also made like $400,000 this week.
I know, but it's just
like
I was just kind of like, I wrote that down because I was like, he just turned around, "Please clap." And it's right down the middle, guys. And it was just, it's good. I don't know, it's good to get that like in-person juju or those in-person anecdotes.
Speaking of Big Tone, could be a tough week for Big Tone. I think there's a big feature article coming out about some of the stuff that's been going on out in Utah and Salt Lake from a sponsorship, investment perspective. So I like Big Tone. I hope he gets through it all right.
He made 344, 112 this week.
He may need some.
He played good. He was playing with Cam Young, who went the opposite direction. Apologies to Cody, but Cam got absolutely vaporized. He's blown out over the Great Plains. I think he shot like 6 over today.
It's kind of wild. I see Roy throw a club. I see him break a club this week. Roy made $500,000 for his T11 finish, $500,000. I know he doesn't need it, but
all right. Let me hit you with another one. Friday, saw Wyndham Clark hit an unbelievable recovery shot off the right side of 17.
The Gusty Swine.
The Gusty Swine. Crowds love home game models off the charts. Crowd loving him. Derek White, for some reason, the Celtic, followed him for 3 straight days, all 18 holes. If you're watching live, you can see like, and okay, I just want to reiterate, Wyndham was laying up, and it was like breaking the classic rule of hitting a hard layup. He's hitting it through this like window, like 50 feet up. He pulls it off. But another example of like being on site, how jacked up people get when these guys play from the crowd. Like you hear the casual fans are like, some guy's bringing his kid over, like, check this out. Like, it's just the energy is so.
It's another reason we need TIO reform.
Yes, exactly. 100%, because that's where the juice is. Like everyone's like feeling like
they're in the arena.
Yes. They're, oh my God, I can't believe we are here to watch him hit this shot. And then he executes it. After he and his caddy, John Ellis, got the number, like it was really fun to watch them go through their process. There was probably at least 200 or 300 people, in the background here. And I don't know, being on site for something like that is just really, it's kind of fun. Even I felt that way. Like I had just wandered over from 10 green. And I'm like, oh shit, there's a ball. Oh, it's Wyndham's ball. Oh, let me set up shop right here. This is great. And I snapped this picture. So another reason, just like, got to get on site a little bit more, Solly.
I'm trying, bud. I'd love to.
Me too.
I've missed this 2 years in a row. I've had to miss.
All right, I got two more.
reasons.
I'm gonna skip one of them. One of them was just the 14th hole. I thought it was gorgeous with the
It's a good hole. It was
backdrop.
a great pin today.
655-yard par 5, dogleg left. Loved it. All right.
And that was the same hole that Neil went. He flew it over the hospitality tents on Wednesday in the Pro-Am with a 7-wood from 240?
240.
And then he refused to take TIO relief.
I flopped it over the hospitality tent and almost made birdie, but we comfy 5. Some guy on the 8th hole, they were live betting on Saturday, Ludwig to birdie. Ludwig sunk a 12-footer, and I swear, like, I've never seen two, like, one of them tackled the other one. They both won $600. And I bring this up because, like, it was really fun because these guys are jacked up, but I'm like, that's kind of the future here of just people just sitting around, like, live betting. So I don't really know how I feel about that one. But it's the first experience I've had with, like, on-site, like, not just two guys betting each other, because you hear that a lot, like, oh, yeah, $10, I bet $10 he misses this. It was like, no, they both, when he had teed off, because I asked them, they were like, no, we bet a bunch of money that he was gonna birdie, and he did.
Going back to your last point of, hey, we're in the arena.
Yeah.
Those two things aren't necessarily simpatico.
I know. So that's a little, like, I don't know how I feel about that one, but I wanted to point it out because it was kind of a striking moment for me. And then the last one, he didn't really show up today, but I followed Ludwig for 10 holes yesterday, and the pace is just aspirational. I would say rarely when he had pulled a club was the ball not in the air 20 seconds later. Like, it's under 20. He picks the clubs, steps behind it, takes one look, and then the club is back.
Gone.
And it was a really fun round to watch. He one putted the first
bloody nose.
One putted the first 4 holes, he made like a 40-footer on the first hole as he's dripping blood from an altitude nosebleed. So he had to, like, pause, and then he makes the putt, and he just got off to such a good start on Saturday, and then he backtracked a little bit, but
we'll get to that.
So yeah, that's the last one. I just seeing Ludwig in person. That's the first time I've watched him up close since we played with him. But he really is, like, he's a stud. And he's a real engaging dude. He's not, like, keeping his head down. It seems like he's always looking out. He makes eye contact with fans. I just appreciate the way he kind of goes about his business, and enjoyed following him for 9 holes.
I'm gonna quiz you guys on this because you can't look at anything. You guys are in the car, and I don't know the answer to this either. I've not been a topic of conversation really of anything. But so these 6 automatic qualifiers on the U.S. side for the President's Cup, and the qualification just ended just now, are Colin Morikawa, Patrick Cantlay, Sahith, Scotty Scheffler, Wyndham Clark, and Xander Schauffele. So those are the 6. Who are your 6
Sahith
remaining
does not
picks?
look good right now. Like, Sahith's wrist is all messed up, and he's just generally just
bad day today. I think he might have been
bad day Friday too.
Without being able to look at the points list, who are your 6 guys you're putting on the team after these automatic qualifiers? Again, Cantlay, Xander, Scotty, Morikawa, Wyndham, and Sahith are the automatic qualifiers. I'm
putting Denny McCarthy.
Okay.
I think Denny McCarthy's playing great golf right now.
That's it. That was a bit of a left fielder there, TC. I'm going with Akshay.
I'm putting Akshay.
Give me some young blood.
Yeah.
Did you say Wyndham?
Yeah,
Yes.
Wyndham's on.
He's on. Okay.
Big Tone.
It's kind of hard to figure out.
Yeah, I think Big Tone. I mean,
they're in Canada.
Yeah.
Big Tone is 7th on the list. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Big Tone's on. Who else we got?
Gets interesting now, huh?
Yeah.
I think
I can't look.
I think Akshay's absolutely on.
100%.
So, like, Denny McCarthy, what a good, like, he's been playing great golf right now.
You're picking Lee Harvey Oswald instead of your boy JT Poston, who I think you've said like 5 times. He's played some of the best golf in the world right now.
He's here every year, top 50 every year. He's unbelievable.
Let's talk about Keegan.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I mean, Spieth is out. That helps, right? In terms of.
All right. So JT and Max are 2 that, like, I mean, Max not a good week.
Like honestly, I would say if I was the captain, it'd be like, yo, man, we need you for president or for Ryder Cup next year. Go get your mind right. Go shut it down. Go have an off season. I think that's one of the things is, like, Spieth's having surgery. Ludwig's having surgery in a couple weeks. I think with Max, it's like, man, like go, like we were talking to Joe this week, and like I don't think Max would mind us saying this. Like he's just like he's been two-way miss with the driver for the last couple months. He's just like burned out a little bit, right? And it's just
That's
like,
what it
hey,
looks like.
go get your mind right and fall back in love with playing golf again. Like I feel like now more than ever, if we're gonna elevate all these signature events and make, you know, like expand the part of the season that matters and put all this money out there, these guys need an off season. And because otherwise, like you know, a 4-week or a 6-week break isn't going to cut it. Like you need 2-3 months.
So I would argue, saw the last two names. I think Sam Burns, these last 2 weeks, kind of maybe a recency bias, but I mean, great day to day. Played well in Memphis last week. Has experience, you know, playing in that team format. So, you know, he's a veteran. He's a known name. And honestly, like you could make an argument for Nick Dunlap. And if you want to go super young,
that's a really good call.
I mean, I saw him play a little bit this week, and he just munches the ball.
Do you try to get somebody like Zalatoris?
Zalatoris is another good option.
Where like, hey, get him some more, you know, team experience.
I'm out on Cam Young for the President's Cup. I just feel like he is trending in the wrong direction.
You're gonna have to pick somebody. There's not an abundance of options.
Yeah,
I mean, and I'm not sure the course fit for Royal Montreal. You know, like I'm not sure what that place is really all about, but you know, I think I don't know, it's a PGA Tour thing as well, so they're going to try to tie in guys that made it to the Tour Championship or whatnot. You know, like is there a
I don't think feature that heavily on.
No, absolutely not. I think
JT has a better case than Max, but I personally think both of those guys should shut it down for the year.
The President's Cup doesn't fucking matter. Okay, like nobody cares who wins, who it's a true, like if the US team is approaching this correctly, it should be a true let's get some reps for some guys, let's test some things out and figure it out.
Right? I agree with that. But I think it matters to I bet it matters to Max and JT. I think they really like that environment. I probably skew towards let's get some younger blood in there or some guys that are trending more than like the experience factor doesn't matter as much to me as like, are you in good form or not?
But like, so there's still not the guy that's like Dunlap has not played better golf than JT. Like he won the Barracuda.
That's fair.
Like
I was kind of throwing that out as like,
I know, but
you could throw that in the conversation.
But you're looking at upside. That's like a Ludwig thing. We're like, hey, let's get this guy.
I think that it's going to have to be like a guy that's really beats down the door, though, to usurp somebody like JT in that spot. I think Max might be a different like that's again kind of a hard conversation.
Need to be on the President's Cup team of like, hey man, like go get your mind right, like that like that's where I'm almost.
You're kind of lumping JT in with like Max and Spieth right now, though. JT's had a better year than we think. It hasn't been like above average for his career, but he actually like kind of surprised me when I saw him here. I was like,
maybe he needs an injection of confidence. Where it's just crazy to me that Max is a, you know, borderline President's Cup guy when over the last like since I think if you look at where we were last year around like, you know, a few weeks later than, you know, basically 11 months ago where we were with Max in Rome to now. Man, that kind of bums me out.
Okay,
right?
you want me to really bum you out? Last year at this tournament, he set the course record at Olympia Fields.
Yeah.
And like I think that was Friday that he did that, Friday or Saturday.
He played well today.
He did. He shot 500 today. He finished strong, but I mean the vibes and the juice are off with Max right now. And I think it probably benefit him more
I wouldn't rule him out. I wouldn't, honestly. I mean, I think Keegan is likely for a spot, especially after this, just because it's kind of barren out there. And with Max's record in this, and again, it's match play, it's different. Like, I would not rule him out. And again, I just don't think like they're gonna do like Brian Harmon over Max and JT.
Solid two guys. So I think what is Zalatoris in the rankings right now? Or in the standings?
They have not updated them as of now. Okay. He was not in the top 25 of the rankings.
I would say another guy. We play with him on Wednesday. You're not going to like this.
Hogecoin?
Tom Hoge. I think
did he also say he's not playing good?
He said he's like, oh, I've been playing like shit, man. He's almost like sheepishly like, I can't believe I made it in. I've made it in the top 50. He's like, I just been, somehow getting top 10s and 20s in these signature events. I mean, he was very like kind of
self-effacing
about it. And then he played well. I think
he was T13.
T13, exactly.
He played so bad.
Oh God, in the Pro-Am Solly, he played awful. And all, Grazerman's got like the quad max out on every shot, and Hoagie picks us up at the turn, and he's just like, he's just kind of hitting.
It was great.
Truly playing like he's at home with his buddies. Like, I was like, damn, I was a big fan of his vibe.
Anyways, I brought that up because like it's bleak out there, honestly, on the U.S. side, and it's an interesting convo. And
are the internationals having a moment?
I wouldn't get out of hand.
There were a lot of Korean. I mean,
well, TC had also pointed. Well, yeah,
Siwoo, Ben On, Jay Day's playing nice. Adam Scott's playing great. Hideki, I don't know about the back this week.
This doesn't feel like there's a ton.
Cam Davis,
Minwoo Lee, I guess.
The Canadians. Sorry, I felt like Pendrith for a little bit this week. Take it all away. Like that's an indictment of the modern.
What do you
PGA
call it?
Tour.
What's the video game term? NLP.
NPC.
No, NPC. Non-player character.
He's an NPC. Yeah. He walked up to the team. I'm like, I've never laid eyes on that guy. That's crazy.
Global superstar Tom Kim.
No, Cam Davis.
Yeah.
Cam Davis played great today.
Smelly Cam Davis.
Global superstar Tom Kim.
Let's go ahead and look at the board going into next week. Scotty's jumped out to a nice lead over Xander going into the Tour Championship. Hideki starting 3 back after having withdrawn from the BMW this week is going to be interesting. And again, kind of the new way they've done this, or the way they've done this for several years now, like he used to be in a lot safer spot if he was having an injury issue going into this. Whereas like if he's got to withdraw, he goes down to last place and loses like $5 million. So you may see him. I think you're going to see him try to finish next week. Keegan jumps all the way up to 4th after getting on the number into the BMW Championship.
Yeah. It's impressive. I mean, we didn't really give him enough credit up front. In on the number and goes out and wins this event like one of the grindiest rounds I've seen in person. So I just want to make sure that we don't, also shortchange Keegan. It was a really, really impressive day from him.
Going back to I think Hideki, he shot 60. Shot 67. He was 5 under after round 1, and we're watching him warm up on the range on Friday.
And then he just walked off. He's just like, yeah, I'm peace, guys. I'll see you in Atlanta.
And he had kind of whiffed the putt to finish his first round.
That's all I said. He's just kind of a weird golfer.
Weird golfer. Very weird golfer. Ludwig is in 5th. He is at -5. Rory, Morikawa, Clark, Burns, Cantlay tied for 6th at -4. That's as far as we're going to go down the leaderboard. That's how it's done there, TC. You keep it tight and down the leaderboard. Let's get to our Serve Pro mea culpas in golf. When bad shots happen, there's the mulligan ball. When fire, water, or other damage happens, there's Serve Pro. Thankfully, the pros at Serve Pro can help us clean up some messy takes from this week or this month or this year. We can go around the horn on some bad takes, some mea culpas, and make them like they never even happened. Neil, what is your mulligan?
Well, we could go a few directions with this one. I was thinking about just my pronunciation all year. Like even in the Pro-Am, I called Max Grazerman like for Grazerman. I might have like undiagnosed dyslexia. I don't know. Okay. A lot of letters in that name, but we're not going to do that. I was trying to reflect today because you saw you asked like, let's do one for the whole season. And I'm like, when did I feel like the most sheepish about something? And it's definitely the block party for the Masters. My son had just been born. I kind of rushed that play and was like, yeah, we're doing a block party for the Masters. Blah! And Rory played like, it just didn't show up. And
I thought, you know what? I thought you would have said like selling off the block party to private.
No, I thought that was the right play. Because it's, sometimes you gotta, it's not about me, TC. That's the point. So, I think that just kind of want to apologize kind of for Rory's season overall.
Okay.
That's my vehicle. I feel like I got it kicked off on the wrong foot at Augusta in April. So there you have it.
TC.
Yeah, Sally, hand up here. I want to apologize for Ludwig and for my support of Ludwig. It's last year I'd kind of pronounced him, hey, he's going to be, the second coming. This guy is
both did, yeah.
Is coming for your souls. Let me take you through Ludwig's year. This is worldwide. Played in 19 events. At the end of 2023, he was 29th in the world. But this year he played 19 events. He's got 3 second-place finishes, 5 4th through 10th finishes, only 2 missed cuts, and he's 4th in the world.
Wow.
And that's
he's going to flip it on you, solid.
That's just not acceptable, okay? And I think he's out of gas a little bit. I apologize. He finished solo second in this event. That's not acceptable. I think he's out of gas. And I think his meniscus is all messed up. He's going to get surgery in the next couple weeks. And I think he needs to take stock of where he's at, how his life has changed over the last 15, 16 months or so, and start moving forward and kind of hit the hard reset. Because obviously this year, not acceptable. Didn't get a win. We predicted a major win.
He won an RSM.
That was last year.
Is that technically last year's calendar?
No.
Yeah.
It's a new schedule, Neil. You're not going to believe it.
Yeah. The fall.
I can't keep up with this stuff. It's like the Ryder Cup
finds out the fall series. It's going to be crazy.
No, so the fall series counts towards next year. Yes.
Nope.
All right. Sorry.
No,
Nope.
It counts towards next year's priority ranking, but it's last year's thing.
Okay, so I was.
You were not right about anything. Make that your mea culpa.
Like somehow you've gotten it wrong on both sides.
Right. What are you actually apologizing for?
That's the thing. I'm not apologizing for anything.
That's what
He's
I
a
figured.
fucking
See, I knew
stud,
that. I knew
okay?
you were gonna do that.
And he's been playing hurt all year, and everybody's been, oh, you know what? Ludwig's gonna shoot 75 today, or whatever. And listen, we need to clean up the Saturdays and Sundays, but you've seen his floor this year, so I apologize for that. You've seen too much of his floor. You're gonna see more of his ceiling next year. He's gonna win a major. He's gonna win at least 3 or 4 times on tour.
Okay, I'm going to put that in the NLU record, and we're going to revisit
Thank
that
you.
to make sure. We're not going to let you get away with that.
One in the sheet.
All right, cool.
I apologize.
You write that down.
What was the prediction?
Solid.
I missed that.
He's going to win a major, and he's going to win 3 or 4 times on tour. But
next year,
the thing that I just did is you don't know if those 3 or 4 times, if the major counts towards that. And I said 3 or 4. So I got all sorts of wiggle room.
Sure. That's
I apologize. My mea culpa was giving TC that much airtime. I should have cut that off a long time ago. Mine was just going to be, I don't want to say I abused the podcast bump, but listen, I was trying to give JT a little bump here going to the back half of the year. I was trying to give Max a little bump here going to the back half of the year, thinking they might turn their game around after making some podcast appearances. History has shown that to be the case, but maybe a little bit of abuse on that. They did not have the finishes to the year that we were hoping for. JT's not done technically, but it's not been the sprint through the finish line that we were hoping. So I just want to apologize for everybody that was putting in big plays on the podcast bump that's had great returns in the past.
Can I ask a question? Did Tommy make the tour championship? I know he was right on the bubble.
He did. I think he was well off the bubble.
He did, and I hit
today.
I hit yet another FanDuel Sunday play. I'm on a little bit of a heater with some of those.
So what did he finish at?
T5.
Oh, great.
Well, he finished T5 this week. Yeah.
And got off to a really bad start.
That
I will say
an NLU bump. We interviewed him on Wednesday night.
Literally,
he dragged me to a C-suite event.
Everybody there, in the Manning Cave. Everybody there was like, "Oh my god, like Tommy's great, huh?" Like, I was like, "Yeah, I've been trying to tell you guys."
I'm trying to tell y'all.
It's good to see Finno back out there. Good to see Tommy giving Finno the staff bag this week as well.
No, the carry bag.
Carry bag.
Or the carry bag, not the staff bag. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I think Tommy T5, I think his best golf is still ahead of him, and he's going to prove the haters wrong. Solly, you can write that down too.
The haters and
you print that.
Of which there are many.
Well, special shout out to BMW, who's been a long time supporter of our content. They have been, I would say they've quote got it, dating all the way back to 2017, and like setting us up for success at all of their championships that they've put on in many different parts of the globe on a lot of different tours, and it's been a great relationship. And it's great to have I love to see you guys buzzing after being on site, especially you, Neil. To all the on site.
It was a great experience. I hope that most people that go to golf tournament, man, I should do this more often. It's kind of the takeaway is like, that's exactly what you're looking for. So
I think something else too is the WGA, the Western Golf Association.
Every member I meet, they're all great.
Yeah,
great
it's just
people.
very, and just like the Evans Scholars are at the center of this. They give cars to all the PGA Tour caddies. They announce the caddies' names along with the players. There just seems to be a central focus and a theme. And I mean, like Duffy and George Solich, who kind of helped run Castle Pines. They were both Evans Scholars alums, and like there's just this like generational connectivity between just Evans Scholars and Western Golf Association and moving around the country and all that. And I know there's flack for them not, for them going to the East Coast often or whatever. And we're trying to be like, man, you guys should go to Chambers Bay, get out to San Francisco.
TC's like, you guys should go to Japan. Have you guys
no,
considered
just
Osaka?
go to like Pacific Northwest, go to San Francisco, go to, so next few years, I think next year's back at Caves.
And then it's Belle Reve.
And Belle Reve and then Liberty. And then
I think we got to go to Belle Reve. Maybe taking a baseball game. Tickets are cheap. I think it'd be really.
the best friend.
You guys could come join me up at Liberty.
I might need paid security for the next couple of BMW Championships.
Solly might too. He's been flaming St. Louis on the Seamsters pod.
That's what I'm saying. They're fans of abandoning their team. Anyways, this is exactly what we said we weren't going to do. If you are listening to the pod, the next section you are going to hear is our live show after the AIG Women's Open. If you are listening to this live, check out our previous live show video right here on our YouTube page. We chat with Lydia Ko after winning the AIG Women's Open and everything you could possibly imagine after that one. So, TC, of course, wouldn't let me finish. Yep.
We'll give you the last word, TC.
No, I just like to say I'm really proud of Randy, Cody, Jordan, proud of all of them, but I'm especially proud of Cody this week. I think he, the RNA and Women's Open Radio, put him out with the last group. And it's a kind of an affirmation, he's really, really, really good on the radio.
Cody, get your ass in here. 100%. We know you're sitting.
He just wants to go to bed, and you're keeping him from this. He's across the pond right now, trying desperately to go to sleep.
Big day for the big guy.
Yeah. So
we get into all that.
It was great to hear you guys talk about it. As folks are gonna listen to that now, but I was immensely proud of you for not just today, but the whole week, what you guys did last year, and how you guys have kind of refined your skill set on that front.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's a nice looking card too. Solly, let's do this.
We are out of here. Thank you very much. Crack on. Cheers.